I've got everything.
I just, if you had a chance to go to the Gateway reception last night, a fantastic job. Those guys really bent over backwards, and I'm going to continue to thank them all week. If you see someone with a Gateway chapter t-shirt on, please go up and thank them. The same goes for the Convention Planning Committee. I did not realize until I got to this position how much hard work those guys really do when they try to put a convention together. I sat down with the pre-convention planning, and it was minute by minute, day by day. Here's what the hotel's going to do. Here's what the planning committee is going to do, and all that other stuff. It's a lot of hard work. If you think, and I'll say this as the general business meeting, if you think that they come to the convention and get to enjoy the hobby, that it ain't going to happen. I was lucky enough to buy my can of the show, the first can I touched. So I don't plan to really probably have much time to pick anything else up. So these guys volunteer all their time to do the work. It's much appreciated. Okay, so Mike, over to you for the secretary's report.
Okay, the first thing, we're going to have the meeting minutes for the June 26th meeting were sent out last week in an email. So for the board members to review. And so I'd like to first ask if there are any questions on the minutes, and if not, I'd like to ask for a motion to approve the minutes from the last meeting.
Second motion. Scott Oldberg was first, and Peter David second and first. Is there any board member that had issue with the minutes from the previous session? No issues. So
12, and I'd also like to report we have 12 voting members present. Okay, so we had a kind of an active session between the last meeting and this meeting. We had 3 special Zoom meetings. We had a special Zoom meeting was held on July the 13th, where we had 9 voting members present, as well as a few other people. That one was we were discussing we began initial discussions on changing the way we collect the dues from the BCCA from an annual basis onto a monthly or a quarterly basis. And at that meeting, we just had some various ideas presented. No motions were voted on at the meeting. We did take a straw poll, and that straw poll was 9-0 in favor of further research and looking into it more. And the reason behind the decision was to pursue, or the reason behind the decision to pursue this concept was because we've had numerous comments and complaints from the general membership concerning the way we currently do annual dues collecting. So we're going to look further into that.
So just real quick to follow up with that. So now if you're a new member and you join in April, you won't have to then pay again come the normal fiscal year like we've been doing in the past. It's just like NABA does, or any magazine that you join, is your dues will then become due in April again as well. But it's going to become prudent on the members to make sure they renew at that time, so that you know, time isn't wasted on trying to keep on pushing people to renew at that time. You know, just be new members. Correct. Just new
Yes.
members.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Oh, Jim. Correct.
Right. I was getting, yeah, I'll get to that. That was just the initial meeting.
The system we were using was Access Database, and we realized that Access Database was behind. It didn't offer an opportunity for members to be able to go in and change their email addresses online, or their email addresses or their home addresses online, because of the way that it was set up. So we're going to look at a new system that will be more flexible, easier information, and people will know when their renewals will come due. All current members are still going to be due on the fiscal year when you send out the normal renewals. This is just new, and as Jim had said, we're looking into it. We haven't made any specific decisions on what that new capability will or will not do.
Right. The main thing with that is, like, if somebody joined in May or June or July, then 2 months, 3 months later, they were told they had to pay the $45 again. And it was getting tough for people because you very seldom get them to join up that soon. So if we switch to this, it'll help the new members. the regular, all us regular people are still gonna be on that same time schedule we've had, so it'll just affect new people.
So that was basically the discussion that we had on the 13th. So then we had a follow-up meeting on the 20th, which we actually did pass 2 motions. We had 9 voting members present there. Keith began that meeting. We talked about the renewal of the Zoom subscription, and then they also had to buy a new printer for the BCCA office. So those were some minor things we discussed there. And then we went into the motions, and I'll read the motion here. The first motion, I believe it was Bruce and Jim that actually collaborated to put this motion together. And as President Keith Kirschner made the following motion, which was seconded by Clayton Emery, and it was to pursue the development of a new database system to include tracking new members and rejoins on a monthly basis in lieu of the current yearly dues cycle, with the intent to develop a new process to identify any associated costs prior to implementation. We'll have the appropriate votes on those to continue forward. To beta test the new system prior to implementation to ensure that all aspects of our BCCA computer management systems remain operational. To establish a goal of implementation by the fiscal year 2023 dues cycle, which was what Jim was talking about. Nothing is in place yet. To make the required changes to a number of bylaws that will be affected as a result of this change, so that at the time the final vote is taken for full implementation, and that motion passed 9-0. Then the second motion that was voted on at that meeting was presented by Keith Kirschner as follows. This was to grant a discount on 2022 dues paid by members who have joined the BCCA since January 1, 2021 in the amount of 10% for each month or part thereof. This was to kind of solve the complaints that people had been having, or part thereof that they were not a member of the calendar year 2021. So if they joined in January, they get 10% off. If they joined in April, it would be 40% off. If they joined in July, the max off would be 70%. The motion was made by John Finan and seconded by myself, and it passed 9-0. And then President Keith Kirschner made the following, he made a follow-up statement concerning the motion. It says, currently we don't book or sign up new applications in either August or September until October the 1st. This way they're good for an entire year. For motion B, we would continue this procedure until motion A is fully implemented in the 2023 dues cycle. To point out the benefits of motion B, if a person joined in April 2021, they'd receive a 40% reduction, which is basically repeating what we were saying there. So we discussed several other minor CANvention related issues, but no other motions were voted on at that meeting. Then on July 27th, we had one other special Zoom meeting, which we had to take action on some inappropriate behavior by a member. I won't go into any names or anything, but we had to. It's in the read aheads there. We had to take action because of some threats that happened over social media from a member. Keith could probably talk about that.
Yeah, an incident happened over social media, and what happened was that person was booted off of that Facebook page, and what happened was the member proceeded to pick up his BCCA roster and find that person, and then make him a threat, and said, "I'm going to find you at convention." So really, that's what it come down to. So we had to kind of take some action on making sure that the BCCA roster is not used for that type of thing. So right now, we made the decision that we would not renew the individual subscription or his renewal as a BCCA member. If he does show up as a walk-in on Saturday, he's not registered for convention, but if he does show up as a walk-in on Saturday, I will have to deal with the individual and tell him it's not welcome back convention because of the threat that was made. So.
Okay, and to finish up, I'm not going to read through them all here. We have the secretary's year in review is the next page of the read ahead, so everybody can feel free to read through that. I'll cover that. That'll be more what we cover tomorrow at the general board meeting. So if there's any other questions, that concludes the secretary's report.
So I would tell you, you saw that we had 3 Zoom sessions from our last meeting. Our last meeting was in Kansas, and I think that was in the end of June timeframe. So between June and this meeting, I had 3 Zoom sessions. So that shows you how active we've been as a group. Been very impressed with the proactive response I've gotten from the board members and trying to be in on sessions when we have the Zoom sessions. Zoom has been incredible for us to be able to communicate. One of the things was when I first sat in the chair is I put out a survey and I asked folks how to communicate with everybody. And you'll see in Charlie's how many e-blasts have gone out. And actually some people loved them and some people thought it was a little too much, but a lot of folks thought it was a great way to get the word out there. So it wasn't just, hey, we're going to have a board meeting in 2 months and we'll talk about it then. Sometimes there was stuff that had to be dealt with in between the sessions, and it was really fantastic to be able to do that. So on to Mr. Don Hardy for the treasurer's report.
All right, for the treasury report. We only have the June report that we have to vote on. We haven't got the stuff for July yet. So all got a copy of that. I imagine. Anybody have any questions about the June financial statement?
No questions. So I'll ask him for a motion for passing the July, the June treasurer's report. Second, Scott seconded. Is there anybody that had issue with the treasurer's report for June that had any issues or concerns as far as not voting for it? No? Okay. All nails.
12.
Okay, next for chapters, we'll announce the winners of the chapter contest tomorrow at the business meeting, right? And the awards will be given out at the banquet. And we also had the anniversaries for the different chapters that will be announced tomorrow at the business meeting.
Is there anybody has any questions regarding the treasurer's actions or the chapter's reports? So as far as the chapter stuff, I've got a non-competitive display. It's going to be the the history of the BCCA chapters. I went and I did a whole lot of research. I'm going to have some displays over there, the old can wraps. If you get an opportunity, because the displays are so close to the trade floor, please go in and try to see some of that. There's a lot of folks that didn't know about certain chapters and the history behind it. So, Paula, remembrances.
Okay, stand over here so they can hear me, okay?
It should be. We don't have anybody really dialed in.
Yeah, we have one person now just dialed in.
Okay, very good. Terry Brown, number 15649 from Dearborn Heights, Michigan. Norm Lexa, number 22224, Euclid, Ohio. Joe Wendell, number 24149 from Maplewood, Minnesota. Arthur Stanton, 26370 from St. Louis, Missouri. Donald Lewinsky, number 26447 from Brookfield, Wisconsin. And Scott Rowland from number 32783 from Colorado Springs, Colorado.
And as every year, Mr. Raleigh Douglas has put the remembrances video together. It'll be featured at the banquet, and it'll also be playing during the general business meeting. So, okay, off to new business. I surprisingly don't have any new business. I normally have a laundry list of stuff to do. So, is there anybody that has any requests or questions that they'd like to pose or otherwise for new business for the BCCA Con?
I would just like to, I've talked to a number of people about this, and I guess this is the time to kind of bring up an idea. I would like to see this club be a lot more involved. I mean, we're always talking about bringing in new members, promoting the club, and I think we're missing the boat with video. I really think we're missing the boat. If you talk to any marketing people, they'll tell you that you need a video on your web page to draw. It draws more Google hits, more traffic, keeps people engaged to your web page. It's a marketer's paradise because everybody wants video. People have short attention spans. People don't want to read. They like to watch stuff. You know, my two kids are glued to YouTube all day long, or TikTok. And I think we need to take, I'm just throwing this out as an introductory idea here. I'm not trying to turn this into a big long discussion, but I think we need to take a serious look at maybe creating a video division the way we have a magazine, and get some people together. You know, videos are ungodly easy to make, really. you know, you can make a nice little intro and an outro, and the rest of it can be fairly raw. You can shoot video on your cell phone. You know, it's easy to, once you get some people doing it, to put these things together, 2-minute, 3-minute videos, you know, and I see people making videos. You know, Steve has done some with the how to repair a hand sign or something. And I talk to young people at our shows, and believe me, there are young people out there collecting, and young people like videos. And it's a marketing must do. And I really think we need to, going forward, give this some consideration. And like I said, consider establishing a video branch of this club. And then to go along with that, I would like to see maybe giving some consideration. We do this with our newsletter. I think it would be a neat idea to take the magazine. I'm not talking about not publishing a print version, but I'm talking, I think we're doing a PDF version. Is that right?
We are, right.
I'd like to see it become a multimedia type publication where you can embed videos, slideshows, audio recordings. We do that with our newsletter, the Border Batch newsletter. We would do more of it if I had more time, but I always try to stick one in every
So that's the
issue.
first thing I was gonna ask, Tom. Are you volunteering?
Sure sounds like it.
We do have an opening for a new marketing chairman,
Yeah.
and the marketing committee could use
And we
people.
do have an opening for a social media chairperson.
Yes, I know that. I know.
To comment on Tom's comments, I think it would be beneficial if we put on our webpage a 3 to 4 minute
So,
or video on CANvention. What goes on at a convention?
so I would tell you two things. Like I said, I put out a social or a survey when I first started to find out how we can get more information out. So the first thing I did, and unfortunately it didn't get accomplished, was I actually had a reading that I did, and I don't know if Charlie Smith is here or not. I saw him earlier. So I originally was going to have a video of a Charlie read an edited version of the history of the BCCA, so that it could be embedded onto the web page, so that when somebody clicked on it, they didn't spend the time to read it like you're saying they do. I knew that people will watch it, and if it's a small snippet, and I actually took the time to read it all myself. And I have an okay voice, but I have not a great speaking voice, and I mispronounce things sometimes more than often than not.
You're not off for that.
Yeah. So what I wanted to do was I read through it. I saw how long it was going to be, and I said, that's too long. We want it in 2 parts. So I asked Charlie Smith to put it together, but unfortunately that didn't happen. So that was one approach. I also built the BCCA YouTube channel, which is up there. And then if I take a video, and what I do is I'll take photographs and I'll put them together. I'll post it up there onto the YouTube channel. And I do that as often as I possibly can. I've been busy these last 3 months to really get some stuff up. The other thing that I did was we had 3 webinar sessions. And people could join through the webinar sessions. The Zoom link went out to mostly the members and up in social media. We did a webinar session on Bach beer. We did a webinar session on Paps with Kip Rodier. The Bach beer was Jim Romine. And then we did another one with Brian Monaco for Falstaff. And people have come up to me and thanked me for, during the quiet time and COVID times, for having those. So I would tell you that the YouTube channel in 1 month, and that's why I posted 1 or 2 videos, we had 400 hits on the YouTube channel for the BCCA. Now, I can't tell you that that was 400 members, but we had 400 hits in that month of folks that actually watched the video and clicked on the video.
And just what you're talking about, which I'm an auctioneer, and I can tell you, like, we use videos to promote an auction. We'll get way more shares and likes on Facebook when we post a video saying, hey, coming up on our auction this weekend, we had this, this, and this. If you put a static PDF of a sale bill up there, you'll get 5 times or maybe 10 times more views and shares and stuff on that video than you ever will on that little static piece of information. That's the great thing with videos. And I had a conversation with Charlie at NABA about this. And, there's like TikTok's becoming real big now. But the thing is, a lot of this stuff you can cross share, And there's a lot we can do with that.
And I said, we have a social media chairperson position.
The more
If
you-
anybody
the
wants
more
to
you're
volunteer-
talking, the more you're You're an auctioneer, so you have a great voice.
So the other thing I would tell you is that anybody that's in this room or anybody that's attending convention, you are more than welcome to take photographs and send them to any of us to post somewhere, a video, you have an old video. Please let me know if you put it up on the Google Drive, or otherwise, I'd be more than happy to post it up on YouTube. So we're more than happy to try to do that.
I think we should just take his comments. You should outline something that we can talk about in November.
Yeah, I agree.
And then get going on that instead of dragging this.
Yeah,
out.
I didn't intend for this to turn into a.
Social media is very important for the BCCA to get the BCCA word out there. Everybody should do their part to try to get as much information out there about the BCCA. We've had people that said, hey, I didn't know anything about this or that, and they've seen it up on social media or they've seen it up on the YouTube channel. That is an effort to campaign and get the word out there about the BCCA. So everybody can have a piece and part of that. Everybody's welcome, sir. Yes.
I'll get an outline together.
Okay, all right. Yeah, please do, Tom. Okay. All right. Any other new business that anybody wants to talk or bring up, BCCA or otherwise related? No. All right. I don't have any old business either. Mr. Bruce,
Okay.
yes.
Yeah. I'd like to quickly mention from our last meeting, we passed a motion for a legacy system for membership for those that are special to us in the past. And I wrote up a draft on what we all talked about. I got copies if any board member would like it. Talked to Danny Bora, and he's got a segment all put together for the website. And so we could really start now. Talked to my daughter about the program last night, and she gave me a great idea. Maybe I'm biased. How about a lifetime legacy member? A lifetime being that you don't have to renew every year, and the lifetime could be something like
6 months.
if you take $15 a year and you multiply it by 50 years in conjunction with our 50th anniversary, that's $750. So $750 for a lifetime membership in the legacy system. And that way you wouldn't have to worry about it every year.
So the legacy membership basically is an opportunity for someone that has a past BCCA friend, family member, or otherwise. You can have their number memorialized and still show them as a part of the BCCA, and they're not lost in that. And Don took the lead up on that legacy membership piece. Do you have anything?
Yeah, it's also not like the yearly membership like the BCCA. You can join this anytime. So like in 6 months down the road, somebody could think of somebody, add them to that, and then Dan would notify them when their time is up again. And the same person doesn't have to pick up that membership. We were talking about this with like chapters. All the chapters have legacy people in their chapters that have passed away. And the chapter might want to start it, and then a year from now, somebody else might want to continue that and pick up the $15 fee. It doesn't, you're not locked into it. It just, when that year comes up, you'll be notified that, okay, so-and-so's legacy thing is due, and then they can talk amongst themselves and pick it up again or pick up more. And it's any time through the year, so it's not strictly one time. And strictly basically a way to raise funds for the BCCA and keep people's names in memory. I can think of about 30 or 40 people I would do off of that.
Does anybody has any questions regarding the legacy membership?
Was there some, oh, sorry.
Go ahead.
I thought there was some discussion and these names would be listed, what, a roster or?
No, they'll be on the website. Danny Bohr has already made up a sample section on the website where you can see what it's like. And the information that would be in there would be obviously their name, their BCCA number, maybe where they live, location, chapter, but there wouldn't be any other information like emails or obviously or phone numbers or anything. But you have the option of putting your name down as being the sponsor or being unanimous. I think Denver Wright should be our first guy.
I would just suggest, since these are for former members and members that passed away, not all of the lifetime. You have to do a.
The word life.
Perpetual.
Yeah.
Because their lifetime already over. So
Kind of like the same reason we dropped memorial.
Yeah, it started out being the memorial thing.
Yeah.
But that didn't just sound right. Legacy sounds
Like
better.
legacy sound.
Legacy sounds better. Yeah, lifetime might not work. Yeah.
Perpetual.
Yeah.
Okay. Any other questions regarding that? If not, we're going to move on to the nominating committee, Ms. Paula.
Okay, nominating committee, there were 104 votes online this year, which I thought was pretty good, since we are having CANvention this year. So a lot of people did take advantage of that, and we had one person do a mail-in ballot. And at this time, I would like to introduce any of the candidates who are here. Mike Rogan, number 704. Mike. Richmond, Indiana. Jim Vincent, 32060. Not here. Wichita, Kansas. John Feynman, number 8184. Mary Legere, number 33809. Rick Ordman, number 1656. Kevin McCabe, number 29959. Hopefully we'll see everybody tomorrow at the Central Business Day. Any questions?
John Fine.
Yeah. Yes, the order that I read off to you is the order that you will be speaking to. Okay.
You're third, John.
And remember, I stood up without falling down.
Yeah.
You're third.
And I do have a sharpshooter sign for those that go beyond the time. Not to worry. Mr. Beer Dave for the convention.
All right, one schedule change that was omitted from the agenda booklet. The craft brewery collectible meeting is Friday at 4:30 in the Missouri room. It was just unfortunately omitted from the agenda booklet, so I want everybody to know that the craft brewery collectibles club is not doing the full can and bottle swap this year. They just figured with COVID, it was probably not a good idea to have that activity, so that's been postponed. So hopefully next year. Mark Crane is in the middle of something. If he gets me the numbers, the registration numbers, and that I'll read them off. But he said he's tied up right now or something. So I'll have the registration numbers on where we stand as soon as I hear from Mark. But he's trying to make sure that everything's ready to go when we cross the street. One of the reasons why we're doing the board meeting now, as opposed to normally it's like at 3 o'clock, is the way the convention center contract read. Is we started to set the tables up and everything yesterday, then that puts us in a 5-day window of using the convention center. And what happens is that 5th day kicks in additional expenses that we have to pay for. And that's the same reason with the 4-wheel carts. The reason we have to go to the 2-wheel carts is because if we use the 4-wheel carts to roll into the trade floor, then somebody from the union would have to walk alongside your cart and stand there while you unloaded it, and then you would have to get your cart back out of there, and that would cost us about $6,400 if we were to do that. So Mike Newton and a number of others have secured a number of extra 2-wheel dollies, and tomorrow or today we'll have a transfer station where we can move things from your 4-wheel cart to the 2-wheel cart. You can come into the lobby of the convention center with your 4-wheel cart. You can't cross over into the trade floor with your 4-wheel cart. So we'll have a transfer station. We also have a secured storeroom that will tag your cart, and we'll put it in that storeroom. And then when you need it at the end of the day or the end of the convention. But it'll be the same thing on Moon Valley. The won't be able to take their four-wheel cart in to move out. So that's why we put a lot of notices out there ahead of time to remind people that the two-wheel cart can, it's just every year, there's something that's different with each property. Everyone still reminds me about the stairwell in Albuquerque. That was something we found out at the meeting. And the way it happened, Mike went downstairs to the room to get his phone charger and he called me, said, "Hey, I need you to come to the end of the hall and open the door and let me in. I can't get into the stairwell." So we talked to the hotel and they were like, "Well, that's a state fire law in the state of New Mexico. Once you get in the stairwell, you have to go all the way down because it's essentially an indoor fire station the way they look at it." That works.
Omaha's Florida, that's still.
Hey, so I want to make one quick point on that. When I got the information, I first posted it up on social media and Facebook, and then we eventually sent some information out. Within 2 minutes, I was reminded, hey, I didn't realize that this was a union slamming Facebook page. And I had a nice lengthy private chat with the individual, and I came to understand and realize it. And everybody goes, "Oh, the damn union folks are making you pay that additional cost and otherwise." And he reminded me that the union put a roof over his family's head, took care of his wife in the hospital, and made sure that his family was taken care of. So everybody, some folks have different jobs. Union folks are the same people just like you and me, and they have to work, whether we agree with them charging additional costs or otherwise, but it is part of their life.
Right, no, it wasn't a dig at the union in any way, shape, or form. It's just, we can't swallow $6,400 into the convention. So that's why we have to do that, or your registrations become just unaffordable for that reason. And the conversation we had was, they weren't gonna touch anything on your cart because they were worried if they were to break something, that then they would be responsible for that. They were just gonna shepherd you to your table with the cart, and it really seemed outlandish at that point that we didn't need to pay that money at all. And so that's why we went with the two-wheel carts, and we'll make it happen. It'll be fine. I'm sure some people will be put off by it, but it's a minor thing.
It is what it is.
We've been 2 years trying to make this thing happen. So, and that's the other thing. Thank God we were able to finally pull the trigger and make CANvention happen. So I wanted to thank my CANvention team. These guys absolutely, and women, absolutely do an awesome job of making this happen. And like he said, it's tiresome just how many hours what we put in. You don't see the thousands of emails that we deal with, and the meetings that we sit in on and stuff to make all this happen so that everybody can have an awesome time with that. Tomorrow at the general business meeting, when the whole team is there, I'll introduce them at that point. But if you see anybody today, we'll be in our maroon shirts. If you see anybody in the maroon shirt, thank them, because trust me, they all put in lots of countless hours to make this work. So moving on, also the Gateway chapter, these guys have done an awesome job. Al and his team, they have also put in all kinds of hours. John can attest to that. The party they put on last night was wonderful, and they're responsible for centerpieces and helping people unload in the front, and helping with designs of a lot of the graphics and other items and stuff. So there are countless hours that the host chapter puts in, and they also give that CANvention that unique flair that only that city and chapter can do. Mike and Pat Porter will attest to just how much work it is when you get to be that role. But if you see any of the Gateway members, also thank them for their hard work. And with that, I'll conclude with the dates and information for next year. Next year, we are at the Hilton Norfolk, Virginia. It's called the Hilton Maine, and it's an awesome hotel. One of the cool things, there's a restaurant inside of it called Rain that has 40 different beers on tap. Really an awesome menu. It's not just pub style stuff. It's a pretty in-depth menu added. The rate will be $144 for up to 4 people in the room. Parking is $20 with in and out privileges. Valet is $26 for that, and the dates are Thursday, September 8th through Saturday, September 10th. And as soon as we get some more information with the hotel and have to get some email blasts out, the one thing you want to do is make sure you book your hotel room as soon as you get it, because you remember, it's a lot. We filled this place up like immediately, so we would probably do the same thing. So when you see the e-blast, the best thing to do is click on the link and get your room booked.
That was one complaint I've heard this year was not everybody rated the e-blast goes to spam or whatever, and some people, it went so fast they were unable to get in that first wave. Can we time it better next year with the magazine, maybe getting to their door and e-blasting it out at the same time, so we don't have things.
Right, yeah, absolutely. And we'll work with the hotel to where, when the link goes live, one year we had a hotel wasn't ready, even though they said they were, so we had to regroup again on that. So, yeah, absolutely. And we do our best to communicate with people, and I get it, there are still some that don't have electronic communication. But we're not trying to, leave them in the lurch, but there's, we have to be able to get information fast to the members and stuff.
There was obviously much excitement to hold the convention because we missed it the year before. So when the sign up for the rooms came up, everybody front loaded their reservations and otherwise. I would tell you this hotel probably gave us 55% or thereabout of their room capacity, I think, in some ways. Because of cancellations, we've lost some of that. But I would tell you that the people signed up real quick, which is a good sign. And we would obviously encourage folks to sign up as soon as possible and not delay or linger in trying to sign up. You can always cancel, months down the road if all of a sudden things change and life changes or otherwise. But the most that these guys can do to know how much room capacity they have available or otherwise will help that process.
Right, because when we filled the hotel the first time, we were able to extend and get a few more rooms, and then the hotel worked was again, and we canceled everything. And then this year we were able to get a larger block, and it still filled up almost immediately as soon as the link went out. Another thing about the Hilton is it will be all inclusive, all one place. So you'll come out of your room, take the elevator down the trade floor inside we won't be in a convention center. You won't have to cross the street or any of that stuff. The 4-wheel carts are allowed. So
How many rooms are there for us at the Hilton?
how big is the room block?
How big is the building?
It is we have contracted for
Steve, I believe the building has around 200
right, but we never get all of those rooms, but we've got our block is for just shy of 1,600 total room nights from Sunday to Sunday. And what we did get them to do is on our 3 peak nights, right now we have secured 250 room nights. What the contract is for. So that should suffice. There will be a Marriott across the street that will act as an overflow if we need it, but we won't know that until we see how the registration is done.
more points to look over the link directly with the walkway.
Yes. Like a skywalk system.
I would tell you in your packet, when you picked up your packets yesterday, and if you haven't picked it up, if you're gonna pick it up over at the freight floor, two things. One, you'll find that there was a coin in there. There was a 50th coin, and that was Mark Crane's idea. Fantastic idea. I'm prior military, Mark's prior military. For me, from an armed perspective, we call it challenge coin. Okay, I always had to carry one as a warrant officer in my wallet. So then what happens is if you go to the bar and your fellow warrant officers there, they're going to say, hey, slap the challenge coin on the bar. If you don't have yours, guess what? You pay for that round of beer. So that's how a challenge coin works. So I would just suggest that
Keep
if
it
you
in
go
your
to
pocket.
convention next year, you might have some friends that might pull out their convention can from this, or the convention point from this year and challenge you. And you may end up buying a round of drinks because you don't have your coin. So that's what the coin is all about.
Keith, of you to stand up for a minute. Keith Bryant is gonna be our local point of contact for the convention next year and stuff. But he's already put in countless hours to get things ready. And 552.
Getting short on beer with as much as you had is a good thing. The other thing is that Sue really designed some really nice commemorative can tickets this year and banquet tickets this year. What I've asked the folks is when you go to submit and pick up your can, if you want to keep that ticket as a memorial piece, they'll just put a little X on the back so that you can then keep that, and they'll just check to make sure you didn't pick up or you're not trying to pick up an extra can. Same goes for the banquet ticket. So if you like to keep them as a memento, that way you can keep that. Paula?
Oh, no.
No? Okay, I'm sorry. I saw you raise your hand. Keith, you have one more point?
I do have a lot of information on Walford, surrounding areas, including 552. Tomorrow, we put on the city guide, the state guide.
Any other convention questions?
No, you should have a beach drunk out there.
Yeah.
All right, where is that 430 crowd?
It's in the Missouri.
Okay, any other convention related questions? No, thank you, dear Ray. Okay, Mr. Jim Coley.
What I would add here is that with 9 months on the books, just kind of looking ahead, we might come better than that this year. People are going to make money because that's the sidewalk, but they'll be a smaller lot.
Still good news.
That's very good.
So it was a real tough piece. If you did not know or you did not read the minutes, the membership cost has gone up. But that's because we lost last year, and we were going to be even deeper in the red this year because of those losses. And
Well,
Yeah.
we didn't get any of that last year, so
So I've had an interesting year so far. So I've had to do all the things, get rid of a member. I've had to do all kinds of exciting things, raise the membership. It's been one of those years. And oh, by the way, I had to change the letter on the banner if you didn't see that at all. So it's been one of those years. Thank you, Jim. Mr. Joe Friend, Mr. Magazine.
Find my notes here.
You want to read them?
No, not really. Too much there.
Yes.
Give us the video. When you get home after this, you should find the September issue arriving in your mailbox. You got it done a few weeks early. You've got a wonderful story in there that I think people will find incredibly interesting and colorful to read. That's all. We did all 6 issues this year. Got them out on time on our end. We had some postal problems back in January and February and March with messed up delivery things, but that wasn't us, that was the post office. And I believe, June, we got everything on budget this year as far as the magazine goes. So I think we're looking good there. As we look towards fall and this next coming year, I have noticed a drop off on member submissions to the magazine. I think it's interesting when I hear from people that aren't heavily involved in the club or know the inner workings of it, that they think that the magazine committee has 4 or 5 people sitting in a newsroom behind typewriters, interviewing people and calling and flying around the country to photograph things, put in the magazine. We don't. It comes from everybody that's in this room and more, of course. So I can confidently say that every single one of you can contribute something to this magazine. It is not that hard. You don't have to be a a great writer. I know that I'm not, but that's why we have Terry Scullin editing and asking the questions between the lines, like how do you get from here to here? There's something missing. Write that in. Yeah, and then we work on that, and then Nancy Hardacre goes through and makes sure that the grammar quality and the punctuation and stuff of our magazine, I can't think of hardly anything else that has that quality. You even look at any of the other national magazines, and I think ours is as good as any of them. Photos are not the issue that they used to be. I think all these new cameras are taking huge sized files. It's not like on the little flip phones anymore. So I don't have to complain about picture size. Just quit cutting off heads. I want to see both shoulders in a picture, not a telephone pole growing out of somebody's head and things like that. I need to recognize somebody that did a tremendous amount of work on the magazine over the past year, and that was Rich LaSouza. He put together that memorable moments section that was in the magazine. The hours that went into that on his end was massive that he put together, and that's where everybody shared just a little memory from the past 50 years or something. And we got a lot of feedback on it. People really enjoyed that. So if you see Rich, pat him on the back for that one. Also, Bob Lettenberg and Berger and Dan Jazowski, they're the ones that make those pages that you see. They take all that and make it look like that. And I think they deserve that recognition that they often don't get. This last issue, Dan was putting it together on airplanes and in hotel rooms and in taxi cabs and in relatives' houses, just trying to get this out for us. This is a very busy guy. Of course, all the past columnists, anybody here has written for the magazine in the past year, stand up. Go back. Yeah, since the, well, let's just say since the last time we had CANvention, the last 2 years. Yeah, so these guys all right, and thank you for that. And there's a ton of people that haven't done that. And thanks to the advertising chapters and our advertisers that take out those full page ads, that helps our flow a lot. What's the future look like for the magazine? I don't know. I don't know. This next issue for November, we're trying to do something special around this for CANvention. We're looking at maybe a little heftier cover stock for it, and a big emphasis on a lot of the photography that's going to be taking place here. We can't ignore the members that aren't here, so there still has to be some good content for them that they say, well, I wasn't there. So take a lot of pictures here the remainder of the week, and send me those digital files. If you need to track me down, we can transfer right to my laptop. But I'm looking forward to the next year of the magazine.
So I'll say this is a general business meeting, but once again, I want to thank these guys for the effort they've done. If there's ever a time when I talk to somebody and try to encourage them to become a new member, the one thing that I can put in front of them visually, like we're talking about visually, is the magazine. We posted up a complimentary version of it up on the webpage that they can click on and link. And every time I get the magazine, I'm amazed at the stories that these guys have put together, that Joe and his team has put together. It makes this club really what it is when there's moments when you're not out at a show or otherwise talking to somebody about the BCCA, Mr. Pat Porter.
Yeah, Pat, you have something on that too.
Yes, I do. Keith, I'm glad you brought it up. I have a large parcel of magazines to do exactly what you just said. So if you are a chapter president or in any way approximate to that, come see me, find me on the floor, find one of the officers or board members or anybody probably on the CANvention page got my number. If you don't have my number, but I'll be on the floor, be happy to give you. I've got done about 5 issues because I've run into quite a number of people, fortunately, that we're using it for specifically this purpose. I do want to say it is specifically for promotion or recruiting new members. It's certainly not for resale or anything like that, but we're doing this on a trust level. Okay? And I think everybody in here can appreciate that. That's how it happens. But for a brewery that puts them out for people to look at, again, great promotional tool. Come see me. Also, as a benefit, for you guys being new members, if you collect the magazines, if you have one that came in ragged or you're missing an issue from, I don't know, 1992 or something like that, I will arrange with Sue to get that to you free of charge. You do not need to pay for it. I'm talking about a reasonable number, maybe up to 5. But if you're missing a couple, we will get this for you. Okay, so just come see me. I'll handle that. And by the way, I want to echo what Keith just said. I mean, in 6 years on the board, we had a lot of long discussions on magazines. We don't do that anymore, thanks to Joe.
All right, thanks, Pat.
I have
Joe,
nothing
anything
else
else?
to report.
All right. The numbers are.
I got the attendance numbers from Mark Crane. As of last night at the party, 615 members, 211 guests, for a total of 826, which all things considered was what we've been dealing with. That's an amazing turnout for our 50th. 44 different states are represented, with 297 for the buffet Saturday night. And we were able to get two countries represented as well. So that was pretty cool. Next year in Virginia, we're also going to do a celebration of international collectors. We'll do a team party or something for them, because obviously we're missing a lot of those people that we always like to visit with from us elsewhere. Hopefully,
And how many tables, you know?
No, 456.
456 on the table, so that's a pretty good turnout, considering.
Dave, are there tables available? Because I've had people asking me that have walked in yesterday. Is it sold out or are there
Mark
tables?
Crane will have a few at registration, so if they need a table, the other thing is, sometimes some people decide they only need one table instead of 2 or whatever, so just have them go to the registration desk.
Okay. Yeah, sir.
Just real quick on the magazine stuff, I want to talk to you guys. The BCCA has been great. If you need magazines, call them up or email them and they'll send to you. I pass a lot of them out to our trade shows. And I get lots of great. It's super easy.
All right, any other questions regarding the magazine? Nope. Okay, marketing and membership committee, I saw Charlie early this morning, so I don't know if he decided not to.
He was in the hallway just
Yeah,
before
he
the
was.
meeting, but he was on the phone, so something might
Yeah,
have come up.
something might have come up. So I would just tell you that, as I had said at the beginning, that we were plus 94 in comparison of numbers over last year. A lot of that is in piece and part to him. We did a campaign in spring to try to get members to rejoin and giving them a USPC book and otherwise to rejoin and encourage new members. We have 6,000 some members on the BCCA Facebook page, but half of them are obviously not members. I would say 2/3 of them are probably not members. But I would tell you this, those same folks that seeing some of the stuff that goes on say, hey, I consider rejoining, and oh, by the way, I have rejoined. And some of that was because of that campaign that Charlie ran as well. So any other questions regarding marketing or membership? Yes, sir.
Charlie is resigning as marketing chairman. He is going to stay on and help with the constant contact and some other things, but we are going to be looking for a new marketing person along with social media. So if anybody has an inkling of how to help with marketing or knows somebody that might, contact us.
Okay. Product development committee.
Don't get old, your bones get stiff.
Beats the alternative.
The product development committee or the USPC supplement is I think really going well. It took a setback when COVID hit and our teams haven't been able to get out to places to photograph cans and other brewery. But that's all starting to open up. I think you'll see some more at shows and that type of thing. Basically, we created this supplement to after the book came out to add new cans and take 5 views of each can picture as opposed to a single one. And that's going well. Both volume 1 and 2, and both nearly 75% of the book images are now at the 5-image level, which is kind of nice. The volume 1 has added 505 new cans for a total of 7,600. Volume 2 has added 2,100 cans for a total of 9,063. The international can segment displays 13,242 cans, which totals up to about 53,000 images. So there's a lot of stuff and material on the website. Currently, the new cans database, we're working on trying to merge their database with the USBC database. And they're at over 38,000 beer cans on the craft can site. And currently the Timo cardboard, we got 154. We're aspiring to at least another 500. We'll be taking photographs here today at the trade show. And we had 68 different brands of beer. And the rear mirror section is really kind of neat. It's an interesting and a good study of what those many thousands of Vernier cans are. And so overall, I just encourage you to take a look at the website if you haven't already been there. And use it as part of your collecting tools to increase your collection. We've also this last year upgraded all of the search capabilities so they're uniform from one type of category to the other. And any of the data pieces that we store for each category, they're all linked now through the search. So I think it's much more user friendly. We also left, like the international cans, that comes in off of an access database to populate ours. And we've left that old search capability there, but the new one is there as well. So you can find more stuff quickly.
Where do you store all your data? I hate to see all that digital get lost somehow. Where's it backed up?
It's back, backed up regularly. I think at least once a day on my son's business website.
I have one complaint about your website.
Yes, sir.
Every time I check it for a can, I see something else and then something else. Next thing you know, I'm on there for 45 minutes or an hour. Like,
I'll put you down on the hero list. So continue to use it. And it's also a really good tool to talk to new members about or potential new members. It's a real resource, and it's really one of the bases of our 501c3 status with the IRS.
I would tell you the one team that's underappreciated, I think a little bit, is the product development team. I see people still carrying their old USB-C books around and stuff like that. And they always open it up and then they go, well, I don't know what version that can is. And I always tell them, go on the online supplement. There's 5 images now of every can. You'll be able to tell what the mandatory is, how the mandatory, and when I say mandatory, I mean the full listing on the can and otherwise. Because these guys have taken that opportunity. If you pull it up, there's a brown colored color behind the back of the can. That's a new entry. That means it was not in the USB-C book. If it has a red square around it, that means that they took the time to image all 5 sides. Yes,
That's right.
Okay.
Yeah, I wanted, well, my last item, I just want to thank Jim Wolf and Mike Newton here for the work that they do on the supplement. It's enormous and it's incredible, and we really appreciate it.
It's fun too.
It is.
It's real fun.
I'll be taking pictures tomorrow.
Bruce,
Yeah.
is Tom Hoffman working on the international cans?
Yes, Dr. Tom does, yes.
He's upgrading that regularly, and he gets cans, pictures from other people, so it's a multiple collection. And yeah, he's the prime backer.
Okay. I'm gonna have to send him some pictures because I posted one on Facebook and he says, I've never seen those before.
You gotta send them to him.
Oh, yeah.
So
That's a
the
big
question
task.
everybody asks is, well, are you updating the prices? No, we can't update the prices or the value of the cans on the online supplement. So don't expect that when you go to look at the online supplement. We all know what has happened with the value of the cans And I would tell you that you can't tell the difference now from when the USBC book was produced otherwise to what they're currently at on auction sites, as everybody has seen that. Just, it's anybody's guess much anymore.
The other difficulty with that is that pricing is really subjective.
Whatever you want to pay.
When we did the original book, we had for every can in there, groups of cans, we had about 5 to 6 or 7 different people from different directions give us a value that they thought they would throughout the top and the bottom and then average it. So that is a big task, and you can't guarantee it. You can't say that this is the exact.
And one other person just scrolled in, Jerry Cole, is also part of the product development team. So if you have a question, those are the folks that you want to go up and talk to and say, hey, I didn't see this. And encourage folks to bring cans if they think they have cans that that the photo box will be at. And we'll try to be as proactive, actually, Don, we'll try to be as proactive as possible on encouraging folks to bring cans to shows so that these guys can photograph it. So any questions related to the product development team? No? Okay. I'll do the social media piece because, like I said, we don't have a social media chairperson. Casey did a really good job, but she decided that work had overtaken her. She was going to be unable to be as proactive in social media as much as possible. I would tell you, when I put out the survey this year about at the beginning of my campaign about how to communicate with members or otherwise, one of the things I wanted to try to get was very proactive on social media. If you do any BCCA Facebook page stuff, you see I do Facebook Live. It's just about every show I go to. Try to encourage folks, hey, if you haven't made it to the show before, not going to make it this year, please come back next year. It always usually happens about the time frame. I would also tell you that Charlie Smith, Mr. Pat Porter, stand up real quick. I know everybody knows who Pat Porter is, but these gentlemen work really hard on the Wikipedia page. So if you search for Brewery Collectibles Club of America, these gentlemen made the Wikipedia page so that now anybody can find out about the BCCA. So I appreciate that, Pat. Thank you very much. So that is one social media accomplishment. Another one, obviously, like I said, the YouTube channel. So now folks can click on a video, and it's interesting. With the YouTube channel, I can put in little words, keywords, and sometimes when they do a search, those keywords then will pull up a video related to the BCCA, and then they just happen to click on it. So I can actually see how many views each video had or otherwise. And like I said, that 1 month period, we had 400 some views. So I thought that was really good. Social media, Pat, you had a question? Okay, so social media wise, Facebook, we built one for this convention specifically because I didn't want convention stuff to get buried down into all the other stuff. Facebook is great and you can always do stuff, but man, trying to find stuff if you didn't see it that day, it gets a little lost. Yep. But yeah, so we built one separate one just for the convention page. So I would encourage you that if you have some photographs you're taking at the convention, or you want somebody to come by your table, post the image of your table or otherwise, please use the social media for that. TikTok, we haven't gotten very good with TikTok, obviously. And then
we don't dance.
Yeah, and Twitter. Yeah.
It may be banned soon because government just bought it.
Yeah, and Twitter and otherwise. So those are all the things that if you're not a social media person, I would just tell you and try to encourage you to get proactive on social media. It is a great way to exchange information and share information. When I first did my Facebook thing, the next thing I know is I had a friend of my ex-wife reach out to me and she didn't know about where I was at and she did find out. So I would just tell you that, yeah, there is some issues with trying to be up on social media, but social media, as I tell my friends at work, I don't know why they call it social media because it's not very sociable sometimes, but I would just tell you that there is goodness out of social media as well. So any questions regarding social media and the BCCA path?
Two things, I do have, to build on something that you just said, I do have access to, and I can post on the Twitter feed, BCCA. Absolutely looking for content. You have a great picture, video, something, you see me, if it's appropriate, I'll post it. Definitely looking for content there. And if you're on Twitter, and if you're either following BCC now, and you need to get a follow back, or if you're going to follow, make sure you let me know. I would definitely want to follow you back on BCC. Regarding the Wikipedia page, if anybody, you think about Wikipedia, remember, anybody at all can edit it, but not everybody is comfortable doing that, understands. So if you have any updates, come see me or Charlie, especially if you have documentation that can, back up. Documentation needs something that was printed in the mainstream newspaper that can back up an important ad. That would be fantastic.
Thanks, Matt. Any other questions regarding that? Al Apria, you said you didn't have anything for strategic planning. Is there anything you wanted to say at all? No?
No.
Okay. All right, Mr. John Fine and the Supply Committee.
Well, I don't know what else really to add to what's in the meeting minutes. Just became supply chair about 6 months ago, and ramping up on things. It's been a lot of fun so far. You can see here that a whole lot to Clayton and Mike England. Thank you for the help with the CANvention shirts. I think they turned out pretty good. Joe's got one on the model for us. Thanks, Joe. Thanks again, Clayton and Mike, for all your help and guidance. Thanks to Sue for all the help with the inventory in the warehouse, and getting things organized, and pulling together supplies.
And speaking of which, if you haven't met Sue, I saw you scrolling, please stand up. Sue is the BCCA office manager. She has done an amazing job. So I want to thank Sue. She's done an amazing job. We all know that Kevin retired. Some big shoes to fill. We all know that. But she has picked it up wholeheartedly and is very enthusiastic on being able to try to do some stuff and get things done for the membership. So much appreciated. So go ahead. I'm sorry, John.
That's all right, Keith.
Okay, all right.
Last thing to add to that is thanks to Don and Jim Wolf for hauling things around regionally to local shows. If anyone is here from outside the Midwest and is interested in taking bulk items back to the East Coast or West Coast, well, Jim lives on the East Coast, but anyways, come see me. I'll be at the supply table off and on all through CANvention. Get yourself some new coats with the 50th anniversary logo on them. And we're also going to have a clearance sale on a bunch of older polo shirts and things like that. So, and the report. Any questions?
Oh, all right, thank you, John. So I'll cover it for Danny real quick for the website committee. He's been very proactive in making sure that the website is up and running as much as it possibly can. And anybody can expect that the websites go up and down every once in a while. One thing I forgot to cover for the marketing part for Charlie as well was e-blasts. I think we sent out, last time count was probably 90 e-blasts. And like I said, that seems like a lot, but I try to take time to make sure that I get as much information as available. And my grammar and editing or otherwise might not always be perfect at any given moment or otherwise, but I always try to do my best to get what I think is important information out to the members, because not everybody does Facebook or otherwise. So, and I've got compliments because of me getting the word out and getting information to the members or otherwise. So the website, sir.
You said 90 e-blasts that Charlie put out?
Yes.
In a year?
Yes.
A month?
In a year.
In a year.
Okay.
Yeah. So yeah, so that was a lot of information that we put out, and I hope it helped people get information and it provided them value. The BCCA, like Danny has at the bottom here, that there's currently 58 blocked countries, and I will tell you that I use a VPN, and every once in a while I use a place that is not authorized to log onto the BCCA page or otherwise, so I have to turn off my VPN and go into the website, but that is for our protection, because there's folks that just are not good players sometimes. So any questions regarding the website? The only thing I would tell you with the website is that people say more content, more content, more content. Danny is not the person, like Joe said, is he's got a team sitting there putting stuff together for the website. So I encourage folks, when I first started this year, is if you have a story about a member that you'd like to post up, it's kind of like a members corners highlights or whatever. If they put a page together and a couple of photographs, I encourage members to get their picture out there, or have you take photographs of a member, and just stories. It could be humorous, little stories or otherwise, for folks to go, oh, I saw that person at a show. Now I know a little bit more about them. But yeah, content's important, but we don't have teams to put that together.
I'd like to give a vote of thanks to Danny for what he's done to the website in the last year, and it's improved markedly.
Save it tomorrow when he's at the.
Yeah, if
So he can hear it.
If he makes it tomorrow, because I know he was in my room about 2:30 this morning.
Okay. Hey, Keith, I think he also needs special mention for that production that he made.
Yeah, and I'll talk about that at the end.
At the
So,
okay,
yeah, I'll talk
okay,
about
good.
that here briefly. So gift management, Mr. John Powderman.
So I think most of you know there were 3 or 4 pretty extensive collections donated in 2020. So we've been handling those. Another thanks to Fighters, thanks for things to Beer Cans Plus, who sent the best dish, couple cases of canned fish, for a couple of different auctions, $2,500, which is just thanks to those guys. Those donations are dwindling down to maybe 3 cases, 3,000 gas. But that being said, the total now is about $7,300. Despite dwindling supplies, the probable good news is that town phase turns around to a collector whose number, CCA number, is under 500, who's probably under 500. I've already been in contact with him once to see what's about that.
I'm sorry, John, you would be surprised how many folks call Sue at the office, and then I get an email that says, hey, so-and-so, or my son or my father was a collector, and they want to give up their collection or otherwise. And it's always the question, what is your intent? Some of them just want their collection valued, or at least given some, idea of what they have on hand. Some are willing to donate it to the BCCA. And those are the types of things, yes, Sue.
I actually have all the orders. Wiggins and Golden Lake area is a gentleman and wants to have something to do with that.
Yeah, I got an email, and then I ended up calling the woman, and she said that my husband was a collector. My son just wants to throw the beer cans away, and I cringe every time I hear about throwing beer cans away. And I called up Ron Jones because he was the chapter leader for A1 that I knew, and I reached out to him, and he said the A1 chapter will take care of it, and they did. And those are the types of things that I encourage folks, that if you know about a collection or you hear about a collection or otherwise, there's ways to do that. Had a woman call me, and then I was sitting at the office, and she said, oh yeah, he's right here. And I thought, well, who knows I'm sitting at the office? I'm not supposed to be. And then I talked to her on the phone, and she said her father was a collector out of Mississippi, had all the cans boxed up, about 4,000 of them. And then she said at the very end, she said, and there's some of those that had like the bottleneck on the top of them. And I just said, okay. And I called somebody, they're going to go look at those cans. But those are the types of things. And then we try to turn as much as we can over to John and his effort for trying to sell them and get money back into the BCCA as a gift. So very much appreciated, John, for all the money you've been able to put together. Anything else, John? Any questions regarding the gift management committee? No? Okay. Advertising committee, Mark Crane is obviously not here, but as you can tell, we're still doing fairly well with advertising. Appreciate the support that we've been getting from sponsors and otherwise, chapters that have posted up in the magazine. And otherwise, Joe's team works hard to try to get stuff posted in there. Some things get missed, but you know, it's just the way things go sometimes. But the advertisers are a good revenue for the BCCA, and we continue to encourage folks to try to get advertising up in the magazine. Sir.
One of the biggest challenges we have with magazines, and especially advertising, are the deadlines. So let's take this November issue that's coming up as an example. On September 1st, I have to determine, well, one, it's easy, how many pages you have. But I also have to determine all of the features I've gotten, the columnists, periods, the international can, how many pages get filled and what's left. And Mark puts together a spreadsheet of who's heard from for advertising. This chapter wants a page or a half page or something. All that's plugged in on September 1st for the November issue. So when we don't get stuff till later, we either have to pull somebody's content out, put an ad in, or I have to tell them that it doesn't happen. So the deadlines are what kills us so many times, because people think, well, my show's not till April. But it's we're always 2 months ahead of the date on the issue. So if you've got anything going into the November issue, I have to have it by the end of this month. Or at least your commitment that you're going to be putting the full page in whatever. And then the content has to end 2 weeks after that. Mark said one of he wanted me to mention this. If you want us to design your flyer, your ad or something, that's fine. Our artists will do that, but they can't do that a week before we go to print. So we need it in advance. And that's not just a logo, a picture of a can, and all the information in the show. If you can design it, in a more written format, that's good. We will help you do that. It's just time ahead. We usually know about our shows and all that at least a year in advance. So don't wait till 2 weeks before the show to try to get it in the magazine.
Mr. Cole.
Yeah.
Agree on whether we have as much advertising.
Yeah, so this one that you're going to see in September is a perfect example. We're allowed, I believe, 20% of the magazine to be advertised. And that's part of our 501c3, I believe. You can't exceed that. And you can budget a little bit. I think for this September issue, we were at 20.2 or something. Usually we run around 16%. So, if you look at our back cover, that's the full page, page 2, full page. It adds up pretty quick. It's usually about 3 pages for chapter ads. And they're cheap. I mean, look at the price of them. We're gonna triple this. We still have a good ratio.
Also on another advertising piece, there's supposed to be an article running in the St. Louis paper this week talking about CANvention Saturday hours. And also Keith and I have been asked by Channel 2, the local Fox affiliate here, to meet them at the convention center Saturday morning at 6:30. And about every 15 minutes during that Saturday morning segment, they'll be breaking in with Keith and I over in the trade floor promoting that we're going to be open to the public that day and everything. So let's hope between those two things, we'll have quite a bit of walk-ins coming through. On the radio. Very good. So that should help our attendance.
Are you going to have anybody like open up their trade floor table so they can film it?
We're going to get them onto the trade floor with Ron Jones Saturday morning.
Okay, so you're doing it at 6:30 in the morning, it's not going to be.
Jones.
Well, that's just the pre-meeting.
Ron Jones is gonna go and walk around.
Ron Jones and Keith and I will be there with them, getting them some good video of the collectibles. Okay. And I think more than showing them bodies, showing them collectibles may have somebody up at 6:30 in the morning go, I got a box of that stuff in the garage. I should maybe see what we got here, bring it over. So you just never know.
Ms. Sue?
Yeah, one of the questions I have is, right now, for the public, we find out, it's not easily. We don't talk to, we go to public working on Saturday, but we don't have a time to get the calls. So I asked Dan, I don't know if he got, something up on one page as to what the public is, or is that even what they want to do? I don't know.
Yeah, and I would tell you, the issue I always get told is that we're only open to the general public that Saturday for a short period time frame. They can't bring anything in. So marketing, from a marketing perspective, the thought always is, well, we try to put out as much as we possibly can, but we can't do too much. Only because of the limited amount of time people can come. Because I'm sure today some folks are going to show up today thinking they can get in or otherwise. Because I think up on the marquee.
Yeah. It's a $10.
Public, 93 on sale.
It's a $10 admission. We tell them 9 to 2 because if they show up at 3 o'clock, all they're going to see is a bunch of people packing this stuff up. So,
I will start doing that, but I just.
yeah, no problem.
Less phone calls.
Or we'll do our best to encourage them to join so they can enjoy the rest of the
And
weekend.
that $10 can be used towards the membership if they join.
Yep, yep. So, and in relation to that, if you haven't read, so starting next year is that we're going to do a 2-day walk-in. That was one of the things that Clayton kind of took the lead on that. We put out a survey, and I would just tell you, again, with the social media and getting the word out, we had 800 members respond to that survey. That is a great number of folks responding to the survey. And I can tell you that we barely had that many people, and Robert will give the numbers later of the Hall of Fame people voting compared to what we had respond to that survey. So we took that survey to heart. We do listen to the membership and through those measures of trying to do that as well, and getting and listening to what the members are saying and discussing that on the board and with the officers to try to see what we can do to hear what the members have to say. That's important, I think, Mr. Kerry Williams.
It's not starting next year, it's for next year. We're
Yeah,
going
I'm sorry, yes, it is. We will test the waters next year on a 2-day walk-in basis to see where it's at. If we think that people are trying to take advantage of the system and game the system, because now we've given that opportunity for just 2-day walk-ins, then we're going to get away from that. Because the convention is a marquee piece for the members, and we need to try to keep it that way. We don't need people to just stroll in on, a walk-in and cheapen the convention. The convention is an important thing for all members, and it's the one thing as a member you really do get to enjoy. So,
Half the people walked in, the registration for the rest of us would just go.
yeah.
So
So,
we gotta keep an eye on that.
okay, any other questions regarding advertising? Okay, we're gonna move on. Brewery Industry Partners, Mr. Kerry Williams.
The membership currently stands at 39. And we do have a few more in the works. So I think things are trending in the right direction. I think the 10-packer project or whatever is being very well received by the sponsors. I think they're thinking it's a really good idea.
And I would tell you, Kerry's taken on the job of the Brewery Industry Partners, and it's good that if you as a member get out there, if you frequent a bar or members frequent a bar, try to encourage them to try to work with the brewer, see if there's some way whether or not we can get a magazine put out there or otherwise to try to advertise for the BCCA. It really does help considerably. Danny makes sure that the Brewery Industry Partner information is up there. So if somebody gets our webpage, their information is also seen as a Brewery Industry Partner. So any other information, Kerry? No? Okay. Mr. Robert Founder and Roster Committee.
At the Chicago board meeting, there was a question or a concern about the roster being sent to the general mail because it contains personal information for all the members. And the question was if there are ways that the roster could be secured in an envelope or a plastic sleeve to some way hide some of that information, not let people email know that they lost their personal information. So I asked the publisher, they do offer envelopes and also plastic sleeves. Envelopes would cost over $1,000 for the full shipment of the up to or nearly 3,000 rosters. The plastic sleeves, they offer either transparent or opaque sleeves at 16 cents, which would be around $480, if we ship around 2,000 rosters. So, John, I will need a decision from the board no later than the November meeting to know if we're going to go with envelopes or plastic sleeves or plastic or the transparent opaque. I don't think transparent makes any sense because that doesn't apply to the cost. Robert, it's good news that they offer transparent and opaque sleeves at the same price.
Robert, we get publications in the mail and stuff, and they have like a seal on the edge, so it can't be opened, and the seal's been broken. So that might, I don't know if that's possible, last year they even offer that.
Then we'll protect it.
Because you can pop the
I
seal.
think they just seal the roster.
Yeah.
I think if we're gonna do it, the opaque sleeves probably,
Yeah, I
the
think
opaque
the opaque
plastic's probably
sleeve.
the way to go.
And,
Yeah.
and again, the reason why it was brought up by a member at the Chicago meeting, Bullfrog chapter meeting, was primarily for security reasons and trying to not let somebody just pick up a roster or otherwise and use that information. I've had 2 or 3 times this year, as I said, I've had an interesting year of having to write folks and let them know that if you did use the roster, stop using the roster. If you're using the roster for your marketing or otherwise, you can't do it. So we try to make sure that that does not happen, and this will help at least let members feel secure that their sensitive information is not willy-nilly out there on the streets. Like here's all of the solicitations. Please send us.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, those email solicitations, that's something different. I want to kind of keep on moving on.
Budget request is around $500.
I don't think it rules the roost, and I mean, if we need to figure out the best way to do it, to try to cover, people's and provide some security on the rosters being mailed out, I think we're doing a positive thing. So the board will make a decision. I think it's up to the board and the incoming president, obviously, for him to see where things are at with that.
We also told,
Mike, you 4 envelopes or against?
we also told that member that you don't have to be in the roster. You can stop your information. It's up to you. You don't have to be in there.
Yep.
He was a banking guy. That's what
Right.
made
Yeah.
me think about it.
In the banking industry.
Scott, real
I
quick.
still think we need this option of having
A membership roster only online for members rather than having the cost of publishing. Yeah, and that's the thing we talked about, and we talked to Robert about minimizing the numbers and still having a roster. There isn't much value in saving or cutting back the numbers completely. And there's a lot of members, and I would just tell you, Jerry Wisehair is one of them. There's a lot of members that like to grab it. Here's one sitting right here. So I would just tell you that there is hard copies that are still used considerably.
A
So,
lot of that is because it's hard sometimes to get those laws to come up.
Yeah.
They're very timely things. You can't, we can look that up and look at it real quick.
so, and I have one on my phone. I mean, I was asked at a show for an address of Vince, who is one of the youngest members of the BCCA now. There's someone wanted to send him some cans, and so I basically had the roster online. I pulled up his address, and the gentleman said, I'm going to send him some beer cans. So if you have the capability, try to have one available online, but we will still do what we need to make sure the members are happy and get a roster. So
One more item on the roster. Joe mentioned how them just the taxi cabs and airplanes and various places, hotel rooms, designed the magazine pages. He does the same thing for the roster. I really appreciate that. Saw Dan last night. He did again for the 20 years. That's it. as I said, no later than.
Hall of Fame.
Yes. I've got my read ahead up here on the phone, so I get the correct numbers. There were 378 votes this year. About 2/3 of them were online, 261. Thanks to the coordinating all that. I really appreciate you putting this together. We didn't have to do this. Thank you very much. This is an increase over the last couple of years. It's about 12%. We had 10 or 11% last year. It is disappointing to not looking. I don't know why. One thing that does help is the e-blast. There certainly is a spike in online votes and mail-in votes. And Charlie graciously sent out 3 e-blasts this year. One when you're voting open, one year. Like I said, that's what it is. Other than those, does anyone have any other ideas?
Okay, thank you. All right, so real quick before I end this meeting, I've gone, I think, a little longer than I would like to, but I know people want to get over there and be prepped when the trade floor opens up. So I put thanks to Toby Hicks, Rich Lazuza, Danny Bora. Toby approached me and I kind of threw the idea out. We had a discussion about 2 years ago before all the COVID stuff hit. And she said, hey, it'd be great if we could do a 50th video of the BCCA over the last 50 years. I would tell you that Toby and Rich Lazuza took time going through, I think Rich said 750 hours worth of time that you guys spent putting images together. I took the data and then Danny manipulated it and put it together. So I took the time. I wish I had a little bit more time, but it was a little longer than we thought it would take. But nearly 150 DVDs that I put together and burned 150 DVDs, and I put 98 USBs together. So the difference between the DVD and the USBs is the DVD, to maintain quality of the images and stuff, I could only put part 1 and part 2 on it. So it's part 1 is the first 25 years, part 2 is the second 25 years. And the reason why I split it into 2 pieces is the first part is 23 or 32 minutes long, and the second part is 39 minutes long. I didn't want people to be discouraged and think they had to sit there the whole time and enjoy it. They can take a pause, they can relax for a little bit. And I'm not a DVD author by any stretch of the imagination. So when you pull it up, it's not fantastic looking, but it is what it is. So that is the DVD. I have some. Again, I'm going to offer them at the general business meeting tomorrow. As much interest as I've seen at the open house and last night at the Gateway party, is that people really love them. The other one I have is the USB. The USB has parts 1 and 2 of the 50 years. It has the first convention on it, which I'm going to actually be playing tomorrow during the general business meeting when people come in. It has 85 years of canned beer. It has the chapter history, which you'll be seeing in part of the display. And I think that was pretty much it. So it has all those on the USB that are not available on the DVD. So when you come up here afterwards, 2 things. One, if you didn't sign in, please sign in so that Mike Newton knows how many people attended the board meeting. And then if you want a USB or if you want a DVD, see me, I'll make sure that I hand you one when you walk away, because I'm telling you, they're going to end up going fast. I was going to try to hand them out as we were doing badges. I said, that ain't going to happen. There's no way. So I'm going to do it again at the general business meeting tomorrow. But, if you want some good video of the last 50 years of the BCCA, this is that opportunity. And then that is it, unless, gentlemen.
I've got, there's some BCCA buttons up here if anybody wants one or didn't get one.
Okay. And I would tell you that the next board of directors meeting is going to be November 6th at the BCCA office in Fenton, Missouri. I hand off my gavel on Saturday at the banquet. And this will be Don's meeting on the 6th of November, sir.
I think just a quick suggestion on video. I work with production company and we now do digital downloads. I was wondering if you actually put something on the website.
We will. What I didn't want to do is I didn't want to preload it and have folks, but I'm gonna put it up on the BCCA YouTube channel. my only problem is sometimes the royalty-free music that you get, royalty-free music you get, sometimes they go, I don't know if, I don't know if you can use that one, and they mute it or otherwise. And that will be up on the BCCA webpage as well. When we didn't have convention last year, I took the digital recording of the first convention, 17 minutes worth, and I did post it up on the BCCA page. So we will do that again as well. Because again, I didn't produce enough for everybody here, and it's very unfortunate. But it will be available digitally as well. So
It was nice to present it at the 50th.
yeah,
And it'll be available on the website and stuff like.
so okay. Any other questions, Mr. Jim?
Thank you, Tom. I'll wonder on the right.
Oh, the check signers. Oh, okay. Yes. So.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Two of us are already on it, so we would just have to add Mike.
No.
Every year.
You have to redo it.
Yeah.
You have to take the names off them.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah,
so-
yeah. Because the bank will need that as confirmation that, yeah.
We're gonna do that on the Friday before with.
Yeah.
Before the finance.
Yeah. So, any other questions?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. So,
Seconded.
so we have a motion and a second. Do we have a motion?
We have a
and second?
motion and a second, Dave,
Okay.
Scott.
Is there anybody that has issue with those personnel being on check signing for the BCCA? No? Okay, so we got all the votes.
Okay.
Motion to adjourn? Well, I haven't done it yet.
Yeah.
Yeah. I did talk to them. I asked if anybody had any issues against that. So, all right. Anybody have any other last minute? If you think of something later, I'm gonna try to keep the general business meeting tomorrow as tight as possible. But if you think of something, don't be afraid to come up and do it during the announcements or otherwise. The board of directors portion is a little longer. And that's because I want to also take this opportunity. I sent out an email, but all these folks that work on the committees and that work on the board and otherwise, it's their volunteering time that they put in. It is their time that they take out of their personal time. And I would tell you, I sent out probably about 400 emails over this past year to those members for things that we were going to do. Okay. And that fills up their mailboxes. But I would tell you that on any given day, I probably have 15 to 20 emails easy that I have to take care of for the BCCA. So I would just tell you, thanks to all the board members, the officers for what you guys have done this last year. It's been encouraging. It's kind of helped me. I'm just the figurehead, to be honest with you. It's all these folks that are taking care of stuff and asking them, hey, can you do this? Can you do that? That have taken the time to make this stuff happen. So I just want to thank them very much for the stuff that they do.
Also in that, there was 6 board meetings this year. There was about 14 Zoom meetings.
Yeah.
So, and I would,
Pretty active.
I would also encourage you that if you have an interest to get actively, proactively involved, like these gentlemen and ladies that have volunteered to be part of the board, that please, when you vote for them tomorrow, listen to what they have to say, take the opportunity to vote for them, make it to the general business meeting. These people are stepping forward and taking time out of their personal lives to be part of the BCCA. We need to continue to grow that, or things are just going to get more difficult. And I still need a social media chairperson if that ever comes up. So, all right. So thank you very much for your time. Is there anything that anybody else has before I adjourn this meeting? All right. I asked for a motion to adjourn the meeting. Beard Dave couldn't wait to get his hands up. I know Scott had already asked to adjourn the meeting, so Paul is sorry. So is there any vote to not adjourn the meeting? Please, if you want the DVD, come up and see me. So I'm adjourning the meeting.
You got an attendance sheet?
Very in-depth.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got my search.